If there's something you can be sure about, no matter what country in the world you live in, it's very likely that you probably have a snail nearby. Perhaps in a garden, or in a park, or in a woodland near to you. But have you ever looked at a snail up close and personal and seen the incredible intricacy of its body and movements? Snails belong to an ancient and really diverse group of animals called the mollusks. These are invertebrates, so animals without a backbone, and they stretch back millions of years, which is partly why they're so diverse and plentiful. Mollusks include, of course, land snails and their close relatives, marine snails, but they also include bivalves, such as clams, and even cephalopods, octopus, squid, cuttlefish and their relatives. Those are all related to our humble little snail here. There's a really amazing activity you can do at home or in your school to study a snail up close and personal. You need a sheet of glass. This could be a picture frame. Obviously handle it very, very carefully and have adult supervision because glass can be extremely sharp. If you can't get your hands on a sheet of glass, you can even use a glass jam jar or even just a glass cup. But generally a flat sheet of glass works much better. If possible, get yourself a magnifying glass so you can really see your snail up close and personal. Land snails generally live in moist habitats, so it's important that they don't dry out. Your first step is to spray your sheet of glass with water. You could use a plant mister if you've got one, or if not, you can use a wet towel or a wet piece of cloth. But make sure that your sheet of glass is covered with a film of water. This will keep your snail happy. The next step is to go into your garden or park or local woodland and find a snail. Be very, very careful. Pick him up very, very gently and don't grab him by the shell. If you pull the shell, it'll hurt his body. So gently, gently pick him up and then bring him back to your sheet of glass and just place him at the bottom. He'll naturally try and climb up your glass and try and climb across it like this little guy here is doing. This is a particularly adventurous snail. You're now ready to study your snail in detail. Look through the magnifying glass and just watch the snail for a few minutes. See how he moves and how he behaves on the glass. If you look really carefully, you'll see that he has 4 tentacles with light-sensing organs that act like eyes. Snails have a completely different visual system to humans, but nevertheless, this little guy here can clearly see what's going on around him. He's having a good look around for new areas to explore, I think. Have you ever wondered how a snail moves? Obviously, snails don't have feet like humans and other large animals. But yet snails can not only move along flat surfaces, they can climb up a vertical sheet of glass, just like this little guy's doing here. When you stop and think about it, that's pretty amazing. Very carefully, put your snail on your sheet of glass and then go to the other side and watch through the glass to see the bottom of his foot. The foot is this organ at the very bottom of the snail's body, and this is how he propels himself along. The snail should naturally try and climb up the glass, and if you look very carefully, you'll see this rhythmic movement as the muscles of his foot propel the snail forward. This is how he grips onto even smooth surfaces and slowly propels himself along. Now for this week's activities. If you go to the Darwin 200 website, you can download an instruction PDF to answer 3 questions within the next 2 weeks to win 3 Amazon voucher prizes. My 3 questions for you. When studying your snail, try and look at his mouth. How do you think a snail feeds? Does he have teeth? Does he have a mouth like a human or a mammal or a reptile? How is it that this incredible little animal can eat leaves? And how does his mouth work? Your second task is to find a snail and identify it. Find out its common name in English and also its Latin name. This little species is very common here in Europe. What species do you think it is? My third and final question for this week's activity is, why does a snail make slime? Can you work out why a snail needs slime and what advantages and disadvantages it may pose? As usual, please send in your answers by either uploading them via the Darwin 200 website or email them to classroom@darwin200.com. Join us in 2 weeks and we'll go through the answers. Good luck and enjoy studying your snails.